Hey, welcome. So today we're going to dig into a really fascinating idea. When it comes to building wealth, what's happening inside your head is so much more important than the number on your paycheck. Seriously, it's not about what you earn, it's all about how you think. And to kick things off, I've got a story that just proves this point perfectly. Okay, so on one side, you've got this guy, Ronald Reed. He was a janitor, a gas station attendant, a totally normal guy. When he passed away, he left behind an $8 million fortune. Then, on the other side, you've got Richard Fiscone, Harvard-educated, a top finance exec who borrowed a ton, spent like crazy, and ended up declaring bankruptcy. I mean, same world, same economy, but just wildly different results. So, you have to ask, right? How on earth is this possible? How does a janitor build a massive fortune while a high-powered executive with all the advantages loses everything? Well, the answer has almost nothing to do with intelligence or education. It all comes down to behavior. To really get this, we need to look at two totally different mindsets. Let's start with the one most of us see every day, what I call the spender's illusion. And it really just boils down to a fundamental confusion between being rich and being wealthy. They are not the same thing. Here's the critical difference. Being rich is about your current income, and it's visible. You see it in the fancy car, the big house, the designer clothes, but being wealthy, that's completely different. Wealth is the money you haven't spent. It's the investments, the assets in the bank that are quietly growing. Real wealth is by its very nature invisible. It's the money you don't see. And this quote just nails the psychological trap we all fall into. It's called the man in the car paradox. We see someone with something expensive, and we think buying that thing will get us admiration. But it doesn't work that way. We don't actually admire the person. We just use their stuff as a mirror for our own desires. We're basically just thinking, man, I wish I had that car. And that leads you right into the spender's trap. It's this vicious cycle. You work hard, you earn more money, and so you spend more money. It's called lifestyle creep. As your income goes up, your spending just rises right along with it. You're always trying to keep up with the people around you, and that becomes this huge barrier that stops you from ever building actual wealth. Okay, so if that's the spender's dead-end path, what's the alternative? Well, that's what we can call the wealth builder's engine, and it runs on one of the most powerful and honestly most underrated forces in the universe, compounding. You know, the idea itself is actually beautiful in its simplicity. When you invest your money, it works for you and earns returns. But the real magic, the part that creates fortunes, is when those returns start generating their own returns. It's a snowball effect. It's quiet, it's kind of slow at first, but then it becomes an unstoppable force. Let's make this totally real. Okay, picture a $700 jacket you really want. Path 1, the spender buys it. What do they have? A jacket. Path 2, the wealth builder takes that same $700 and invests it. Now, assuming a pretty standard 10% annual return, in 30 years, that single decision not to buy a jacket turns into over $12,000. That right there is the staggering power of compounding. And this gets to the heart of the whole thing. See, the real goal of building wealth isn't just about piling up money so you can buy more stuff. It's about buying freedom. It's about buying control over your time, which is, without a doubt, the most valuable asset any of us will ever have. That is the highest dividend money can ever pay. Okay, so if the math is so simple, just save, invest, let it compound, why doesn't everyone get rich, right? Well, it's because the math is not the hard part. The biggest barrier isn't in your spreadsheet or in the stock market. It's in your own head. And to prove this, let's look at some really interesting research from Vanguard. They asked a really simple question. What's the number one reason people actually go out and hire a financial advisor? The answer is probably not what you think. Just look at this chart. It's not to pick the hottest stocks or to beat the market. No, the number one reason by a massive margin is peace of mind. At 34%, that's more than double the next reason on the list. People are paying for emotional coaching, not just a financial strategy. Vanguard actually breaks it down into these 4 key areas. You have the technical stuff, like portfolio construction and financial planning. But then you have emotional value. That's the peace of mind and behavioral coaching. And time value, which is literally saving you from the stress and worry. The soft skills are where so much of the real value is. So what this all really boils down to is this. The greatest value a good advisor provides isn't some secret formula. It's being a behavioral coach. It's being the person who talks you off the ledge when the market crashes and who tempers your greed when things get too bubbly. It's about managing you. And this leads us to the final and maybe the most important piece of this entire puzzle. If financial success isn't just about having the highest number in your account, then what are we even aiming for? It's time to redefine what the finish line actually looks like. When Vanguard asks people this very question, how do you define retirement success? Look at these results. There is no single answer that dominates. People care about all sorts of different things: projected income, the probability of not running out of money, just knowing they're on track. It's all over the map, which proves one crucial thing. Financial success is deeply, deeply personal. It is not a competition. And this brings us to one of the most powerful ideas in all of finance: aim to be reasonable, not coldly rational. A spreadsheet might tell you the mathematically perfect strategy, but if that strategy is so aggressive that you can't sleep at night, you're going to abandon it at the first sign of trouble. A pretty good plan that you can actually stick with is infinitely better than a perfect one you can't. So we end up right back where we started. Ronald Read, the janitor, chose the path of the wealth builder. Richard Fuscone, the executive, chose the path of the spender. At the end of the day, your money can be a tool to buy more things, or it can be a tool to buy your freedom. It's a choice between the visible and the invisible, between looking rich and actually being wealthy. So the question for you is, which path will you choose?